Welcome to today's episode of Tweaking Tips for Shopify, where we dive deep into different tips and strategies on how to tweak your website to get more sales. My name is Sagar, and joining me today is Jodie Minto from jodieminto.com. Jodie and I have been working for the past 7 years. She sold her seven-figure e-commerce business and is now helping other e-commerce business owners reach seven figures with her consulting program, Online Store Success. I'm super excited to have you here on my podcast, Jodie. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's my absolute pleasure.
Yeah, same here. Before we get into the tips and strategies on how people can grow their online stores, can you share how you got started with Island Co? That was your previous business, and how you
Sure.
transitioned to helping other Shopify business owners improve their own Shopify stores.
Absolutely. So it's probably around nine years or almost 10 years ago that I was actually living in Dubai with my husband and small children. And I was actually working full time in corporate pharmaceuticals and not really loving my career and not really seeing where I could move within this sort of corporate world. I was also missing my children's lives. I was having to travel quite a bit for work, and they were only tiny at the time. They're teenagers now, so they don't really care how much I work anymore. But then they used to, we used to miss each other a lot. So I started to sort of thinking about what are some ideas around starting my own business. And because I was living overseas and we knew we would move back to Australia eventually, but wasn't sure when, I I wanted something that was totally online, and I wanted a product. I wanted to have a physical product that I could sell online, and run this business from wherever I happened to be living. I actually started out with totally different products and a totally different business. It was called Willow Tree Organics initially,
Mm-hmm.
and I was actually importing products from Australia. I was importing organic baby rompers and clothing and blankets. I was importing these sort of roll-on organic perfumes and things like that. And this was before I'd met you. I'd paid someone to go and set my website up under Willow Tree Organics, and then realized really quickly that no one was coming to my website at all and no one was buying. So I actually then went off to the market stalls, the local market stalls in Dubai, with all of these Willow Tree organic products, and thought, you know what, maybe if I put them in front of people, I will be able to sell some and then hopefully encourage them to come back to the website and make subsequent orders. But again, at these market stalls, no one was really interested in these products. And I was just couldn't figure out why. And I mean, I think the challenging thing is that I had these organic vegan perfumes and things like that. And this is nearly 10 years ago, before it, particularly in Dubai, organic skincare and things like that was particularly well known. So there was this big education piece that I needed to sort of do with potential customers before I could almost convince them of the value of buying something that was organic. And I didn't have the time or the money for that. I was just keen to get out of my job as quickly as possible. Um, and then from there, I was starting at these market stalls, still trying to sell my things. I was just sort of looking around and seeing what other market stalls were busy. And I noticed that any of these women's clothing market stalls were the busiest. And I thought, okay, I like clothes. I'm not a fashion designer or anything like that, but I can see that there's an opportunity here. Um, and fast forward, I sort of ended up um, rebranding Willow Tree Organics to Island Co. and was basically making these sort of one size fits all caftans and kimonos,
Mm-hmm.
using the local tailors and buying ready made fabrics from the fabric souks in Dubai. And started selling those products at the markets and actually getting a really good result. I started selling out, the very first time I did a range of kimonos, I went and had about 12 made in different colors and different lengths. And some had sequins and some were neon and some were pastel. And I actually put them on a clothing rack behind my table, where I still had all of the organic perfumes and baby products,
All right.
because they
Okay.
looked really beautiful and colorful. And I was hoping that people would at least be drawn to my store by the colors behind me and buy the baby products and the organic perfumes. And what happened was they didn't. They just walked straight around behind me, and I sold all 12 of those initial pieces on the
Oh,
first day.
wow.
Yeah, so I knew then that I was like, okay, maybe I'm onto something here. And given that our one size fits all, I thought this is actually probably great, for online because there's no confusion around sizing and things like that. So then I made the ultimate mistake of thinking, right, you know what, I'm onto a winner here. I'm going to find the most expensive website person I can find, and I found this agency in Melbourne, and it was an agency run by young men, and what I ended up with was a very masculine looking brand and very masculine looking website. It was all black and white.
Mm.
It was sort of targeting, it looked like it was targeting like a sort of a surfer, I don't know, man in his 20s, when in
How do you
fact
go
women that were
from like
buying.
having kimono to being like
Yeah,
something surfer?
it was such a huge disconnect, and
Yeah.
I sort of launched that site, and I did actually make sales from the very first day. But I made sales because at these market stalls, I'd been getting people to sign up to my newsletter list. I just had a little fishbowl in the middle of the desk, and I'd say, hey, we're getting a website soon. Would you like to put your email address down? And we'll let you know as soon as it's live. And so I had probably maybe 100 or 200 names already on
Mm.
this list that I could email the first day that the website went live, and then made some sales. Um, but like I said, I realized pretty quickly that there was like this disconnect between the brand and the website and then the products what I was selling. And then that's when I came across you, and you helped me completely rebuild the website, and for a fraction of the cost of what these other guys had charged me, and continued to help me for I think probably 8 years in maintaining 7, 8 years and
Yeah.
maintaining the Island Co website, many theme upgrades and changes and customizations and things like that. So yeah. And then last January, I actually sold that business to another couple in Australia, and I have gone full time into my coaching business, where I coach other people how to build and scale their own online stores, particularly in the fashion and lifestyle space.
Yeah, that's great. I think like I would like to mention here the one thing that I really liked about working with you was like you had clarity on what you wanted. So it's not like you were just sending me a bunch of details and me trying to figure out like what exactly you want to implement or change on the website. Like you were very clear. So you
Oh,
had a vision as well of what you want your website to look like and how you want the experience of your customers to be when they come to your website.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know I was very clear. There we are. Because I think most business owners were just kind of figuring it out as we go. So that's nice feedback to know. I think I do always have like a clear vision. The
Yeah.
challenge is that the vision often changes frequently. So, 3 months down the track, I'm like, you know what? Change my mind. I want to try something else. But no, that's nice to know. Thank you.
Okay. So let's talk about your approach when you work with other e-commerce businesses. Like, do you have a blueprint that you use and apply to all e-commerce businesses you help, or is it something individually tailored to each client?
So for majority of people that come to me, students in my courses, majority of them already have launched an online store of some sort.
Hmm.
Often they're not great. Often they are have built the website themselves, and often on a platform that all of a sudden they're finding really difficult to manage and make changes and edits and things like that. So they usually come to me with this sort of problem around, I have this website, I have these products, but no one is buying anything. So what I initially do is I'll first of all have a look at the website, and then more often than not send them to you for help improving it, or switching them over to Shopify. And then I look at their products and their pricing, and I particularly look at their product pages to see, if someone was to land on their website, do they have all of the information they need? Is there, for example, in a fashion garment product, uh, product page, is there a front, back, and side and a close-up image of the garment? Because people need photos, good quality photos. It doesn't have to be an expensive photos. It can be on your iPhone, but they need to be able to see the garment clearly. And then they also need to have a good product description, making sure that they're talking about not just the features of the product, but also the benefits to the customer. And then obviously
Sure.
answering questions around sizing and refunds and shipping and all that sort of thing. So I initially start with an audit in a sense of okay, what have we got? What are we working with here? And then we look at getting that right. So that might be, a theme upgrade on their Shopify. It might be optimizing those product pages and images and things like that. It might be making sure that the website's just looks nice and is aligned with who their ideal customer is and the products they sell. So that's usually our first starting point.
Okay. So, but do they have are they selling on Shopify, or are they selling on any other platform? And then
Sometimes, yeah.
sometimes, okay.
Sometimes they're on Wix. I've heard of really obscure ones. I'm like, what? I've never even heard of that platform.
Hmm.
I do get a lot of WooCommerce people sort of initially come but they'll come and they'll say, I'm really struggling to make, changes to my website myself. Or I'll be like, go and have a look at what your conversion rate is. It should be easy to find. And they're in the depths of WooCommerce or something and they can't find that
All right.
information and those metrics. So yeah, often people do come to me, probably I'd say about 85% of people are already on Shopify, and the other
Okay.
15% are on something else and facing
Mm-hmm.
problems and facing challenges.
All right. So what are some of the key things that you notice on the website? Like you mentioned, something about the product page,
Mhm.
but it's like something that you notice, something very specific, and you want to tweak it right there
Mhm.
to enhance the shopping experience and increase sales, like some of the key things.
Yeah, absolutely. So on a product page in particular, I sort of say to my students, we've got to consider that this is all they've got to work with as far as helping them decide whether they want to buy your product.
Right.
So if it's fairly vanilla looking and there's not a great product description or photos or images, the likelihood is of them buying is going to be very, very low. So we first of all make sure that those images, like I said, if it's, say for example, a lady's dress, that we have ideally the dress on a human body, on a lady, and we can see it full length, that we've got a side on view and then maybe a back view if there's some sort of detailing on the back, and then also a close up of the fabric so people can see what it looks and feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And even better if they can upload a video of the lady walking or turning around in the garment so people can see how it falls, how it moves on the person. So the images and the videos are really important, but in addition to that, it's really important the product description. It often gets really, really overlooked. People will just sort of say one or two sentences and that's it. And I notice a lot of people, again, for ladies' fashion or any sort of fashion products or apparel, forget to mention what it's made out of. Is it
Mm.
100% cotton? Is it 100% polyester? Is it
Right.
100% silk?
Right.
People, forget to mention that. And because as the business owner or the designer and the creator, we're often so close to it, we don't even stop and think, oh yeah, of course, I need to mention this, because that will influence people's purchasing decisions as well. I mean, it doesn't mean that if it is 100% polyester that you should hide that fact, but you can kind of make it a little bit more, I don't know, attractive by saying, silky soft, 100% polyester. And what's the benefit of polyester? You can throw it in the washing machine, um, and you won't destroy it. So just thinking about those things, because like I said, the fabrication, and that will also align with the price. If you're charging $500 for a 100% polyester dress, people are going to be like, oh, no.
Yeah,
But
that's quite a bit. Yeah.
if it's 100% silk, well, then that's a bit different. So it's really important to note that. And also to talk about how, for fashion products, how to style them in the product description, because that's a number one sort of objection that people will have is like, well, what would I wear this with? How would I style this? If you're selling a kimono, what am I going to wear underneath it? So
Mm.
give them some ideas on how they might use it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And then, like I said, talking about the features, but also the benefits. So if the feature is it's 100% cotton, the benefit is it's breathable, it's sustainable, all of those kind of things, right? So, and what that means for the customer, it's easy to wear, it'll last a long time, it will hold its shape. So sort of really fleshing that out.
Mhm.
But in addition to that, having reviews on the actual product page.
Yeah,
And
that's so important.
yeah, often people might have a few reviews on the homepage, but not on sitting underneath the product. Because I know when I mean, I went and bought a face cream or something online the other day, and I'm straight to the reviews, and I'm reading, first of all, I'm reading the low reviews, and then I'm reading the good reviews. And that's what I use to help me make my purchasing decisions. So by not having any reviews on there, will definitely hamper that conversion.
Sure. So you did mention about the homepage. Is there anything specific that you see on the homepage that you would want to tweak?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the first things I look at when I land on a homepage is this above the fold section. I don't know if I made that term up or I've heard it from you or someone else, but before you scroll, like what do you see? And one thing I say to all of my students is, that section, that top banner or whatever it might be, is it really clear? If someone had no idea what your business was, if they land on your website and that's what they see, is it really clear to the visitor what it is that you do, what it is that you sell? Because a lot of the times I land on websites, I'm like, I don't know what this business is selling. And sometimes they'll use in their banner, the hero image, a stock image, that they found on the internet. Or if it's in the case of a lady's outfit where they're selling the necklace, but then they've got this really intricate, detailed outfit, this lady wearing the outfit. It's like, well, you don't even sell 8 of those things inside of that photograph. So
Yeah.
just making sure that it's really obvious to what it is that you sell when someone lands on your website. So for Island Co, we used to have a statement in that hello bar that said something along the lines, your online destination for resort wear, kimonos and caftans or something like that. So it was really, really obvious what it was that they were landing on.
All right.
And then in that hero banner, generally either leading with your best selling products, making sure you're highlighting that, or if you've got something new, highlighting that in that section.
Oh, that's great. I mean, yeah, I think I agree with having a bestseller or the new arrivals right below the fold, and of course the banner, which is the first thing that people see, should be clear on what exactly you're selling and what is your USP. Um,
Absolutely.
all right. So what's one thing that you've used or implemented on a Shopify store that has dramatically increased sales or improved the customer shopping experience?
I think definitely reviews. And I used to use Stamped.io, the
Mm-hmm.
reviews app. So it was a paid one, but it was fabulous because a couple of reasons why. It was quite flexible in that we could create these series of emails that would trigger once someone's order had been fulfilled. So Shopify, they'd get the order and we had it set for maybe, 1 or 2 weeks later after we'd shipped it, that we would send the first email saying, hey, did you receive your item? We'd love to know what you love about it. We even incentivized it with, I think, free shipping or maybe like 10% off the next purchase.
Yeah.
But then we would send follow-up emails if they hadn't actually done that, because a lot of people just send one email for reviews and then that's it, they give up. And I know for me, you've got to pester me quite a bit before you'll actually get a reply out of me.
Yeah.
So I love that Stamped.io would let you send a number of follow-ups,
Mm-hmm.
but also it let customers take photos of themselves wearing or using the product and upload
Mm-hmm.
it. So when people would go to a product page, they would see, all like they'd see obviously the top of the product page, the photos, the product description, scroll down to see the reviews, and they'd see these written reviews, but then they'd also see ladies wearing the garment. So it was fabulous in that they could see these other women and see how they've styled it and see that, oh, it looks great on her, I'm similar shape to her, things like that. So having those reviews not just even on the product page, but even like scattered across the homepage, gives that social proof and helps customers with their own purchasing decisions. So the reviews app, I think is probably like the number one thing that would help the sales, help the overall conversion rate. I know for like list building, our most successful list builder on the website was the spin the wheel. And I know there's 100 different apps that do it, and not everyone loves them. And some of them do look a bit ugly. But I can tell you it was the most successful list builder that we ever had. So we would delay the timing, about 45 seconds after they'd landed on the site before it would pop up. But so many people would actually then put their email details in, and then once they'd done that, whether they won a prize or not, they would be a lot more likely to then go ahead and then actually make a purchase.
Yeah, actually, I was just thinking about that. That with that list builder, I think you were able to grow your list by thousands. I mean, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I think
It
it
was
it worked really well.
Yeah, it works so great. And I mean, I know we could manipulate how many people won a prize, what percentage of people would win a prize, and determine what the prizes were. Even if it was $5 off, people are like, well, $5 is $5. I might as well use it, right? So
Right.
they jump on and use it. But yeah, we got like, thousands of people sign up to it, and it itself attributed to tens of thousands of dollars worth of sales every year.
Yeah.
Just that little sort of gamification pop up.
Right. And I think also with the reviews, when you had crossed 1,000 reviews, and when somebody comes to the site and see, okay, this store has 1,000+ reviews, I'm sure a lot of people love the products the store is selling.
Yes.
So they are
Yeah.
automatically, get into the state, okay, I mean, I would want to try it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Having those reviews and having like once you sort of reach a threshold of them, it instills that confidence in people
Right.
coming to the site and like, well, this must be a great business, a great brand. There's evidence that they do actually have customers. There's not just 4 reviews. But yeah, it definitely helps tremendously having those reviews. And that's one thing that I see a lot, even 7-figure businesses I work with, where the reviews and that follow up for reviews or even that automation of sending reminders to get reviews is overlooked. And it's such a huge opportunity to increase the overall conversion rate of the website by just implementing, whether it's, like I said, it's an automated thing. You just have to go in and do it once, and then it fires off forever. But yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Well, those two are great recommendations. So next thing that I want to ask is, what's one thing that you thought was important, but actually didn't make much difference in improving the sales or the customer experience?
Oh, only one? I feel like there's so many.
You can give multiple, that'll be
Oh,
fine.
you know what? Photos, professional photos. So,
Mm,
and I mean, in 2 different ways. So, when my very first photo shoot I did in Dubai,
hmm.
I again was like, well, I've just got to find the person that specializes in fashion photography. And it cost me, I think I spent about $10,000 on
Oh,
this
wow.
photo shoot, which was like one day. And it was my first photo shoot I'd ever done. So I was just following the lead of the photographer. And she's like, well, you need a hair and makeup person, and you need a stylist. And then we need lifestyle shots on the beach, but then we also need studio shots, like on a white background. And honestly, the whole thing was like crazy. So the photos on the beach were great, but then the photos in the white background were horrible. I'd booked a model from an expensive model agency. She wasn't like a great fit in that she didn't really represent my customer. She was a lot
Hmm.
younger, and she was very, very tiny, where I was serving more older, like middle-aged ladies, and more plus-size ladies, more curvy ladies. Um, the the stylist mistake I made a number of times, having a stylist on a photo shoot, and they're just as expensive as the photographer. And what I found, the first stylist, she actually like asked for more money to go shopping to buy all accessories and all these kind of
Oh,
things. Um, and so then when I got the photos back and then started using them on the site, people were like, where's the necklace from? Where's the hat from? Where's the bracelets from? Where's the ring from? So it was detracting from the actual product that I sold. And it made everything look just very busy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think having good quality photos on your website makes a huge difference, but you don't need to go and spend $10,000 on getting those photos. There are different ways to do it. And we got very scrappy in Island Co. We used to find a model that we would love and we would say, hey, look, would you be willing to do your own hair and makeup and we'll pay you extra? And so we never, ever again did I ever pay for hair and makeup in 9 years of doing photo
Wow.
shoots. Never used a stylist again after those first few times. Um, and I often would use like a photographer that maybe like a wedding photographer out of season so that they would get me a better rate. Or even I used a surf photographer at one point, like photographers that weren't necessarily fashion and came with the fashion price tag, but could get good quality images for us.
Right.
So I think for me, yeah, going in too hard with an expensive fashion photographer and model and stylist and all of the things, thinking that that's what you have to do. Um, but then also the website, I shared that example, like in the very beginning, I was like, oh, websites must cost $10,000 or $15,000. That just must be how it was. And I was sort of guided by this person because I was so new to the industry. And in actual fact, it was a big disaster. I think it was only about 12 months or 18 months later that then I got your help to come in and redo it.
Right. I think like people, when they look at other big brands, I think they get this idea, okay, I have to do the same thing, but
Mm,
not realizing they get into this loop of, okay, I have to do everything the best.
yeah,
And then they're not able to get themselves out of that, and then when they end up spending is a lot of money,
yeah,
and they're not able to distance themselves from, okay, what's good for my customer, what are my customers needs, and then just focus on that. And I think I mean, even my wife really liked that when somebody comes on Island Co, like they should see people who are like normal people wearing the
mm,
clothes. They are the models. So,
yeah,
and that's who you relate with the most. So
yeah.
they were, I think those photos were great, were better than the model photos.
Yeah, yeah. And we sometimes would ask friends to do it that we,
Right.
and things like that. And I mean, towards the end, we mostly hired models because models do know how to pose and
Hmm.
stand, which is
Right.
actually a really hard skill, which meant that we would get through the shoot quicker and that we
Okay.
would then save money on the photographer. But yeah, making really strategic decisions around like which model do I want, which represents our customer
The veg. Okay.
versus yeah, yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. Photo shoots on their own, I think I could have like a 12-week course on them, how to get photos. And even with the website, I think for those that are starting out and don't yet know what maybe their bestseller is, or maybe not even who their ideal customer is or who it is that actually buys from you, there's no point spending $10,000 on a website and then $10,000 on a photo shoot if you don't yet have that information and data, because in my case, the $10,000 photo shoot and the $15,000 website were a complete waste of money 12 months later, because first of all I realized the website didn't appeal to my ideal customer, and neither did the model and the photos.
Right.
So to start with what you can afford. Yes, you might have to invest, in like a photographer or whatever it might be, but start with what you can afford. You don't need to have some huge budget and go for the most expensive because you think that they're the answer and they're going to automatically result in you making lots more sales just because you've used them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I mean, actually, you just answered my next question as well, because I was going to ask, if somebody is just starting to sell online, like what are some of the things they should focus on,
Mhm.
which you just touched upon, like, not going for all the, uh, like a fashion photographer, spending lots of
Mhm.
money, just sticking with what your customer wants and needs are.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's one metric that you focus on when you review the analytics dashboard on Shopify?
The conversion rate, number
Conversion
one.
rate.
Yeah. Yeah. And I say, I mean, conversion rate to me is the most important, but there's some nuances to it because it can fluctuate quite a great deal for sometimes for things that are somewhat out of your control. So you'll often see if someone has, for example, an end of season sale and everything on their website's currently 40 or 50% off, their conversion rate instantly will increase, often doubles, right? Because people are more likely to come on and buy something if it's half price.
Right.
So if you're looking at your conversion rate in that short window time frame, you're like, this is amazing. My conversion rate's 4% or something like that. And then once that sale finishes, your conversion rate drops off, and then they think, what's going on? So I guess conversion rates are obviously the most popular, the most important, but looking at over a longer time frame. So at least over a month, at least over, if you've had a huge sale, then stretch it out to 90 days, because the conversion rate gives us an indication of whether or not people want what you're selling, that your website works correctly, that your website's overcoming any of those objections and satisfying their questions and concerns from the get-go. And most conversion rates I see on average are 1%. So it is quite usually a low number, but it can dip and dive, if you've got a sale on, or if you've got a range of bestsellers that are now sold out in the popular sizes, that's then going to negatively affect the conversion rate as well.
Okay. All right. And any other piece of advice you would like to share that you think would benefit other Shopify businesses?
Sure. I think the first thing to address obviously is those conversion rates, making sure that you've got that proof of concept. So if your website is converting at about 1%, you're actually doing okay, right? I know you might hear that, you need 3% or 5%. Yeah, that'd be great. But more often than not, it's about 1%. And if you're doing 1%, we sort of can confidently say things are ticking along okay. So once you've got that website that's converting, you've got, all of those elements that we talked about. The next thing is about driving more traffic to the website. And this is what I see as is probably one of the biggest challenges, if not kind of concerns. People are like, no one's buying anything from my website. And then I'll ask them, first of all, what's your conversion rate? Or if they don't know that, I'll say, well, how many people are coming to your website each day? And they'll often be saying things like 10 people, a day, or 20. And so then when I explain about conversion rate, the conversion rate I see more than often than not is 1%. That means you need to say 100 website visitors in a day to expect to get one sale. So once I sort of explain that, they're like, oh, wow, okay, well, I need more website visitors each and every day to get those consistent sales. And then that's obviously where marketing comes in. That's where we've got to look at list building, email marketing, organic marketing, on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok or wherever, and then paid ads. And paid ads for most multi 6-figure and 7-figure online stores, paid ads is like the number one driver of those sales on their websites. So just know, I guess, and understand that paid advertising through whether it's Facebook and Instagram ads or influencer collaborations or something like that will come into play at some point when you're ready to just sort of significantly scale your sales.
And that's what your online store success program is about as well, like helping people get to 6 figures or 7 figures, depending on where they are. And you help them specifically with the Facebook ads. Is that right?
So I've got a couple of different programs. I've actually got 3, but I'm actually one sort of
All right.
getting pushed aside just for a minute. But so my online store success program is a 12-week course, and we start off with those foundations. So we look at things like, who is your ideal customer? What are your key marketing messages? And what are your best-selling products? And then we sort of look at the website. Is your website built to convert? Are you using e-commerce best practices? All those kind of things. So we look at making sure that the foundation is really solid first, and then we step into the marketing. So then we step into, okay, well, how can we get more people to your website? And each module, there's a module on email marketing and list building. There's a module on organic marketing, so Facebook and Instagram posts that we do for free. And then, we look at paid ads. So they have a whole module on introduction to Facebook and Instagram ads inside of Online Store Success. I think there's about 20 tutorial videos in that introduction model. So the Online Store Success 12-week program is for those that are sort of looking to scale up to, say, $100,000 a year in revenue. Because once they've done that, I have then my mastermind program, which is where they get me inside of their Shopify, inside of their Facebook and Instagram ads, inside of their email marketing account, their Klaviyo or whatever that might be, inside of their Google Analytics. And we work together a bit longer, with one-on-one coaching, as well as we have a small mastermind group with other ladies in the similar stage of business, where we then really get into the Facebook ads. Like once we've got those levels of success, we're like, okay, great. How can we pull the lever to get even more of these sales via ads? So there's the two sort of products. The Online Store Success is the initial 12-week program, making sure foundations are right within the introduction to ads and then all of those organic digital marketing strategies. And then we look at the mastermind for them when we're ready to scale things up to the 7 figures.
And where can people find more details about these programs that you are offering?
So if you go to jodieminto.com, or if you look me up on Instagram or Facebook, it's jodieminto.com. I also have a podcast, Online Store Success. So if you search that or search Jodie Minto, you'll find me on there as well. And yeah, you can put your name on the wait list for the next round, or binge to your heart's content on the podcast and see, get a feel for what I do and whether you like my style or not.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to some of your podcast episodes whenever you have and you send an email. And I mean, those are packed with value as well. So, I mean,
Yeah.
if anybody's looking to just get some information about how to start selling or how to improve their existing website and how to scale, I think your podcast is a great place to start as well.
Yeah, it is. And I do a weekly episode. I do talk a lot about Facebook ads in there,
Okay.
probably share a bit too much info in there that I should reserve for my paid courses and things. But yeah, it is a great starting point for sure.
Right, great. Jodie, thank you so much for doing this podcast. The information that you shared is really valuable, and I'm sure, like, if when somebody listens to this, they will find like what are the sort of things that they can do, and what are the things they should focus on when they're running their Shopify store, to create a better experience for their customers and increase the sales in the process.
Yeah, you're most welcome. It was my
Yeah,
pleasure.
so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.